Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Danielle, aka Stitcherista here on YouTube, and today is Tuesday, July 26th. So, I am so glad that I left on Sunday from the retreat. So I left about 12:15, I want to say, and I was home about 4 o'clock. Yeah, it still took me a while. Most of the ride was fine. I didn't hit traffic. I hit traffic at a toll booth, and then I had traffic in Delaware. So just a couple spots. And I listened to my audiobook. I was listening to The Golden Couple by Greer Hendricks. So the book was like 11 hours long. So I was only part of the way through it. So that made the ride go by quicker because the book was actually really good. So got home at 4 o'clock. Said hi to Bill. He helped me carry my stuff in. I got my bag unpacked, laundry started, all of that. We had dinner, and then I was able to sleep, in my own bed. So I went to bed fairly early. I was really, really tired. So I was in bed, I want to say by 9 or 9:30. And I didn't have to work yesterday, which also was awesome, because it let me do like everything else. So catching up on banking, emails, I have stuff to put on our calendar for work. And then I was also able to get my retreat video uploaded because I had 4 or 5 segments. I mean, that video was like an hour, so did that. And yeah, I had a nice productive day yesterday. So the day was very calm. I got a lot of stuff done. And I finished the book, the audiobook, because I listened to it while I was doing my chores and everything yesterday. So I finished that, and that was really good. I highly recommend that book. And then when Bill came home, he gets home about 3:30. When he got home, we went to the grocery store, and man, is that the time to go to the grocery store. That is the time. There was like hardly anybody in the store. So did that, came home, had dinner, went to bed. I am working today. We're on the calendar today, Thursday, Friday. Might get a job for tomorrow because that has happened before, but as of right now, we don't have one. So, stitching. Now, when I started the coffee one, the one I finished at the retreat, I did not have a layout in mind. Usually what I do is I'll go on scrapbook.com and I will look for, actually looks better if I do that. I will look for layouts that I can use as a template and then buy the papers and the washi tape and the stickers and all that. I didn't do that this time because I literally have so much scrapbook stuff. But when I actually looked through, it took me a while to figure out what layout to do for the coffee piece. When I look through all my scrapbook stuff, I have mostly Christmas and fall. So when it gets to be that time, like stitching for Christmas, I'm going to have layouts for a couple things for sure. I did have some coffee themed stuff, but it didn't quite go with the colors that I had done for the piece. But what I finally came up with, I am happy with. It turned out really good. And then I was looking through the rest of the book. So on this page, because there's like 2 pages in the front that I haven't put anything on. This one and this one that have the pockets. Now, if you remember when I showed I think it was for the Love of Cross Stitch magazine that I got from the freebie table at the retreat, and it had the conversation hearts. I was thinking about stitching a bunch of hearts, putting them on here, and then in this pocket putting whatever Valentine's Day card Bill gets me next year. Thought that was a good idea, but just trying to think, So the page I finally settled on, I can get to it. Oh, my new glasses shipped, so that's exciting. Okay, I think this turned out really good. So I wound up, didn't that turn out good? I wound up deciding to take the washi tape off around the edge, because sometimes I like to mat the piece with scrapbook paper, which is what I did this time. And one little mistake I made, which is not really a mistake, but when I turn it, you can see like shininess behind here. That's because I did not put a piece of cardstock behind here, which is what I normally do. I just literally ran this through the sticker maker, through my Creative Station, and so it's sticky on the back. That's why you can see the adhesive through some of it, but not a big deal. But yeah, I thought it turned out pretty good. It took me a while yesterday to figure all of this out and play with some different papers and things, but I thought it turned out really good. So the next piece I am doing is Wild Violet Cross Stitch Freebie Mermaid and Ocean Friends. It's this. So I am stitching mine on white perforated 18 count paper, and I'm using the called for floss, which is DMC 163, 435, 597. So a blue, a green, and a brown. Now, I went on yesterday, scrapbook.com, and picked out layout materials and have those on order. See these like bubbles? These are single stitches. When I looked at this pattern, I was like, I can't do isolated stitches. Whoopsie, sorry. Let's try that again. You can't do isolated stitches on perforated paper neatly, because isolated stitches on fabric, you can carry the thread, or you can anchor the thread like a pin stitch or something like that. There's no way to anchor the thread neatly on paper. So I was like, what am I going to do to represent those bubbles? In scrapbooking, they make these things called enameled dots, which are like small, and you can get small up to really, really big. So I went on scrapbook.com when I was ordering the layout stuff, and I found small blue ones that are like micro. So I'm just, once I'm done the stitching and I have the piece on the junk journal, I'm just going to take those little dots and stick them where I thought the bubbles would be. So that's how I'm going to be representing that. Yeah, sometimes if you have to think kind of outside the box when you're stitching on paper, for sure. But I was very happy to come up with that solution. So I'll show you the teeny tiny bit of stitching I got done yesterday. I did not get much done. And I'm actually using the needle minder that came in the goodie bag, or swag bag, or whatever you want to call it. I'm using that to hold my paper on my magnetic board. Okay, so, whoopsie. Oh, and then there's a correction that I have to make. Let me find the pattern. Yeah. Because I can't read apparently, but that's okay. All right. So I decided to start in the middle for this one. Yeah, and I literally just have that little bit. And I didn't need to cut the paper this big. I'm not sure why I did that, but yeah, so I started in the middle and just did that little bit. I am going to stitch at some point today for sure. Okay, so the pattern that I bought at Needleworker's Delight by Sweet Wing Studio. For some reason, I said it was Isaiah A110. That's not an A, that's a 4. Danielle. So Isaiah 41:10 is the scripture. Someone pointed that out, and I thank you, because I would not have realized that till I went to stitch it. Okay. So let's do the Unfuck Yourself entry. So the entry for today says, whether you realize it or not, we're out for a life that matters. Your life is too important to let that pass by. Yes. We're all here for, to have the best life that we possibly can, right? All right. And that obviously is relative. Success and having a great life means different things to different people. So if yours doesn't match someone else's, it doesn't mean that it's wrong. Okay. So today's story, small miracle story. If I don't work tomorrow, I'll do a true crime story tomorrow because those take a little bit longer. Okay. In his book, Journey to My Father, Israel Zamir recounts how his father, Nobel laureate Isaac Bashevis Singer, frequently incorporated real-life material into his fictional works. Dramatic episodes and mysterious encounters that happened to friends, relatives, and neighbors eventually all worked their way into one of his mystical tales. Singer was often considered the master of the magical and the supernatural. Ironically, many of his most eerie stories were actually drawn from true life. Zamir was in his father's house when the phone rang one day. The caller was an acquaintance of Singer's to whom a strange coincidence had just occurred. As the woman poured out her tale, Singer interrupted her remarks with repeated exclamations. Really? Indeed? You're sure? Shaking his head in amazement. And you know, I feel like I'm like that. Like, if you have a really good story to tell, I'm the person to tell it to. Because I will be like, I will give you the dramatic reactions. That is just my nature. Okay. The woman caller who lived on Long Island had been out shopping and sometime during the day had lost the key to her apartment. Ooh, man. It was her only key. She lived alone and no one had a duplicate. Dude, so before I even go any further, you would be calling a locksmith, obviously, right? You would have to at some point. Or an apartment, you would contact your landlord because they must have a key. Desperate, she wandered the streets for hours hunting for the lost key. Retracing her steps, she returned to all the shops she had patronized that day and conducted thorough searches of the premises. And man, I can imagine you would become very weary and tired. Her tenacity, however, was not rewarded with success. As evening drew near, she decided to abandon her inquiries and travel to her sister's home in Brooklyn where she would stay the night. She went to the local station of the Long Island Railroad to catch the next train. As she stood on line to buy a ticket, something on the floor next to the ticket booth, a shiny metal object, glinted and caught her attention. She bent down and picked up her key. What? How would her key have gotten there? She had been nowhere near the train station that day, she told Singer, excitedly demanding an explanation from the man who filled his books with demons, sorcerers, and ghosts. His answer was that an entity had made sure that she would find what she was looking for in order to protect her from having to travel to the wilds of Brooklyn at night. Finding the explanation perfectly acceptable, the woman thanked him and hung up. The tale was avidly digested by Singer and became the basis for his story, The Key. Let me tell you, I believe in miracles. I believe in stuff like that. And why I believe, I'm gonna tell you, it's because of Terry. I'm going to tell one of her stories that she told at the retreat. I don't know if she's ever told this on her channel. It's not like it's... This story truly blew me away and just showed the true power of prayer. So, her son was young. Now, she has 5 children. One of her son was young. And he had fallen. And they thought he broke his arm. So they take him to their doctor, I guess a pediatrician. And she says, yeah, it's definitely broken. You need to take him to the ER because that doctor there didn't have like x-ray capability or anything like that. So Terry and her daughter, one of her other children, take the son to the doctor to the ER. And while her son is in x-ray and everything, Terry and her daughter are praying. That's what they do, right? They're praying. When they are able to see, and this is where I literally would have loved to have seen my face when she was telling this story. When they went in to see her son, he's eating a lollipop with the affected arm, and the doctor says, I'm not sure why the other doctor said to bring him in because it's not broken. What? He was fine. When she told, the way she told it was so much better than I just told it. but I gave you the gist of it. When she told it, my mouth fell open because they fervently believe, and I'm with them, like that was an amazing miracle, that their prayer is what healed. Dude, I will never, ever, and I told her, I said, I will never, ever, ever forget that story. I am so, you just do not even know how glad I am that her and Joe sat at our table, because I feel like there is a purpose to friendships, and I really admire Terry's relationship with God. Let's put it that way. Like how, and her whole family. I mean, she told us many more stories that weekend, but that time, and I want to say it was Saturday night, not everybody was at our table. One person was at the needlework store. Somebody else was at Joann's. So it was only a few of us at the table. And the stuff that she told, just, that story was just unbelievable. I mean, amazing. An amazing miracle, truthfully. So I believe in things happen for a reason, that that you put out into the universe what you're going to get back. And our thoughts create our reality. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to end here so I can get a little bit of breakfast in my tummy before my work starts. I hope you guys all have a fantastic Tuesday. As always, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments section below, and I will answer them to the best of my ability. Thank you so much for watching and subscribing, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys.